It is a strange thing to have video games be so second nature. Like, WASD is just a thing that you put your hand towards. Having preferred button layout on a console controller, it's gotten to the point where we dropping boys is just part of my vernacular. Then I think back to when I first started playing video games, learning the basics, quick time events, branching paths, the old trial and error of problem solving. It is through this one game that I was introduced to a whole new world of games through copious amounts of references. When I was but a wee lad, browsing on the family computer, I took a liking to those Stickman fighting games. So I would look up generic websites like stickmangames.com or something, and there, hidden amongst sift heads and war of sticks, was the game that would change my life forever.
Oi, you. You're free to go. Not really, but you've got a package. Don't get your hopes up. We've already checked it for anything useful, haven't we, Dave? What? Yeah, of course I checked it. I mean, if I didn't check it, I'd lose my job, and I don't lose my job. See you around. Free to go.
And just like that, I was hooked. It was such a simple flash game with basic animation, but a plethora of choices. After an intro cutscene played and a cake was tossed out to our protagonist, Henry Stickmin himself, he reached inside and the most important choice of my 6-year-old life was presented to me. How would I try to escape the prison? Having heard of all the different ways generic baddies would escape in cartoons and what was really not allowed to be had in prisons, I chose the phone and watched as Henry called up a lawyer, and this would be my first exposure to the Phoenix Wright games.
Okay. I was riding alongside my partner in the armored van, but suddenly she spotted a bag on the side of the road. We got out and eventually decided to throw the bag in with the others. We didn't know there was someone hiding in there. Objection! So, the defendant crawled into that bag in order to break into the bank. Is that correct? Is it not obvious? Is it really that obvious? I have proof that the defendant didn't hide himself in that bag. Well then, what are you waiting for? Present this evidence already.
And this would be a pattern that would repeat time and time again. I'd make a choice, it would look like a pre-existing game, I'd search to see what the reference was, and deep dive headfirst into that new game. I was obsessed. This is also how I figured there was a prequel called Breaking the Bank, which showed the whole thrown into a bag situation. When I finally figured out the correct piece of evidence to put forward, I saw something that blew my mind. Endings unlocked 1 out of 3. So I jumped back in immediately. I learned what QuickTime events were from this game, but not only that, I found that the true joy of these Stickmin games wasn't figuring out the right answer. The real fun was failing.
What the?
I spent hours giggling away to myself at each and every mishap, screw-up, and blunder that I could put Henry through. By the time I had been through them all and I saw him drive off into the distance, escaping from prison, I felt satisfied with the ending I chose for him. But deep down I was sad. Not in a way I'd ever been before, like falling and hurting my knee or seeing my favorite character die in a movie, but now that I had completed the game, all I could do was go back and play the game over and over and over and over. Until I had to finally let Henry Stickmin go. It was strange to experience all of these unique feelings for the first time. Eventually, I had to move on. Minecraft came out around this time, so I wasn't left without video games, but when people asked me what my favorite video game was, I'd always say escaping the prison. Then one day, someone asked me that question, and I responded as I usually did, but then they replied back, "You know there's another game called Stealing the Diamond?" I couldn't see my face at the time, but I know that it lit up, and I was in boarding school at the time, so I grabbed the nearest school laptop as soon as I could and plugged Stealing the Diamond into Google and waited in anticipation as the fan whirred as if it was about to explode, and as the Wi-Fi ticked by at a fraction of a megabyte per second.
As the mayor, I hereby declare the Tunisian archaeological exhibit open.
But there it was. The sequel I didn't even know I was waiting for. I had almost doubled in age since I played Escaping the Prison. Now the tables had turned with me in this game. Instead of seeing a reference and trying to figure out what it was from, I knew what the creeper exploding was from Minecraft, and that Falcon Punch was from Smash Bros, and the mushroom was from Mario, and that the teleporter finally worked. I recorded myself playing it with my phone and uploaded 10-second clips of it onto my social media story, thinking I was making a YouTube Let's Play. Wow, those were some wild times, and that kid had some real dreams, huh? But then, that magical moment came. The moment where YouTubers that I'd idolized started making videos on the Henry Stickmin games. DanTDM, Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, all of these creators that I looked way up to, was giving this kid the affirmation that he needed. That his little niche interest of a flash game wasn't as weird as he thought. But that double-edged knife meant that they would instead associate that game with the YouTuber they liked having done a series on it, rather than being the game that I had put forward as my favorite ever since I knew how to point and click a mouse. Anyways, back to the game itself. I was always infatuated by these multiple endings, but they never really led into the start of the subsequent games. I'd seen with Telltale games that each episode had an effect onto the start of the next one. Well, the games tried to make it seem that way until I realized Telltale games really like to course correct their stories a bunch.
Would someone care to explain what he is doing here?
What is she doing here?
After fleeing the complex, which made me unlearn everything Escaping the Prison had taught me, such as waiting for the QTE timer to run out.
What's it going to be, Henry? Well, that's just too bad. Alright, everyone back to work. I will not forget about this. This is coming out of your paycheck, all of you.
And that there were possible bad endings that could be achieved. Along came the final installment, completing the mission, as well as a remastered collection of the previous games. At this point, video games had become a big part of my hobbies and interests, to the point where, at the same time as Brandon, I had begun streaming games on Twitch, which is just another way of showing how these games marked monumental points in my life. I didn't know it then, but I was making one more step closer to starting a YouTube channel. The Henry Stickmin collection was the first game that steamrolled me with nostalgia. Moments like the jetpack fail message, the energy drink, items like the teleporter, choices like the Falcon Punch and Falcon Kick, as well as characters like Charles.
I got the perfect plan. This is the greatest plan.
And Ellie.
Thanks.
We're all here. Each game being a time capsule of the internet culture at the time of its release. Completing the mission was a master at giving closure to already familiar punchlines which made me laugh.
Yo!
Which made me cry.
Henry? You there? Ah, man, that roughed me up. Got him, though. There's gotta be another escape pod around here somewhere. We did it, though. We got him. It was a pretty good plan. Could say it was the greatest.
General, the Top Hat station's been destroyed. Excellent news. What's wrong?
But regardless, I enjoyed every moment of it. But not only that, I failed. Over and over and over and over again. Until I found a secret hidden button and a little cutscene played.
Oh, a package, huh?
Oi, Dave!
Yep. Hey, I got a package here for someone named Henry. I love delivering packages.
To most people, that would just be an aha, so that's how it's all connected. Eureka! The multiverse is fixed. What a nice message from the developers. Especially since A Heist with Markiplier had a similar ending, where the plethora of multiple choices were all whittled down to one concrete ending, but mending the timeline. But to me, that cake is where it all started. I sat there deep in thought about what my life would have been had that cake not been sent so haphazardly into my life. If I hadn't got hooked on these games and made decisions based on my love for what they were. These Stickmin games were a huge part of my life. And just like escaping the prison, I played through the Henry Stickmin collection again and again until I was ready to say goodbye. And I moved on. Until now. Because now I guess the tables have turned again. Where once I would be overjoyed seeing other YouTubers reacting and playing the Henry Stickmin games, I now get to be on this side of it. I get to make a YouTube video and see how all of you enjoy the game. My favorite thing to do on this channel, it goes without saying, is making videos. Especially with Brandon. It's what the whole basis of the channel was. We had things that we enjoyed and we wanted to share them with the world. So I want to hear from you. Did Henry Stickmin affect you at the same way it did for me, or is there something else? Some other game, book, movie that just stuck with you throughout different points in your life in a different way than anything else ever had. So yeah, I'm just dropping this video here for no reason in particular. Or maybe there is a reason. So that I don't forget about Henry Stickmin. Also, the developers made Among Us, so that contributed to carrying me through the pandemic lockdown, but also copious amounts of brain rot amongst my friends, so thanks for that.